Growing up in small town in Japan, I had always dreamed of one day moving a big city abroad. Now the day had come, and I was finally in Vancouver. I had graduated my university, and I was ready for my exciting adult life and career. From now on, I would meet interesting people, eat fine restaurants, drink fancy cocktails at glamorous bars, dress fashionable outfits from designer shops, become a responsible professional. Who knows? In a place like Vancouver, I might even become a movie star. I didn't know what, but somehow I just knew something wonderful was waiting for me here. That first morning, the big city, everything felt possible. Of course, first, I needed to find a job.
Hi, Hioki.
Yes.
Hi, I'm Raphael. Welcome to Teleconnects Media. Top of your class, huh? Volunteer Society President, Debate Club, Yoga Club, Captain of the Judo Club. Impressive. And it says here you're new to Vancouver?
Yes, I'm so excited to be here.
What's your favorite part of the city?
Well, I'm not sure yet. I just moved to Vancouver.
Really? Where did you put it?
Put it? I'm sorry, Mr. Raphael. What do you mean?
I mean, you must be incredibly strong.
Strong? Well, I consider myself a strong woman. I'm independent, diligent, and hardworking. And I really want a job where I can help to others.
I like that. And what are your hobbies?
Well, I like cuisine. So I'm really looking forward to eating fine restaurants.
Well, you might have a hard time digesting all those tables and chairs.
Digesting?
And do you enjoy travel?
I do. I've been in Italy, Australia, and I've been in USA.
But now you're a Hioki, right?
You sure ask very interesting questions, Mr. Raphael.
Is that a fact? So, judo, yoga, huh? I have an idea. How about you show me?
Huh?
I've always wanted to learn. Come on. Come on. Throw me the mat.
Throw you the mat?
Yeah. Teach me some moves.
Throw you the mat.
Yes. That's not yoga.
Yoga? So that's why I'm going back to Japan, Teacher Paul. I've been made a complete fool of myself here.
I see. But Aya, wasn't it your dream to live and work in Vancouver after university?
Well, I guess it wasn't meant to be.
Meant to be? According to who? Who means it or doesn't mean it to be?
What do you mean?
I mean, it's your life, isn't it?
Yeah,
then you're responsible for it. Don't let fate make your decisions for you. So you've had a little setback. That's part of life. The only question worth asking yourself now is this one. What are you going to do about it?
I really don't know what I can do.
Well, Aya, the first step is identifying the problem. And from what you've told me, it seems that you have fossilized some transitivity errors.
I what?
Well, maybe we need to go back and review this.
Review? So I'm right back where I started in your English class? Like I have made no progress at all? Great.
You know, Aya, when we're young, it's natural to be eager to move forward in our adult lives. But it's also important to occasionally take a small step back in order to go forward once again more confidently.
Okay, Teacher Paul. Let's break it down.
Okay, let's go back in time a little. Do you remember this example?
Yes, of course. You used this example in my beginner class 5 years ago, before I went back to Japan to finish university.
Right. So let's identify the basic parts of this sentence. Here, your old classmate Osama is the subject. Kicks is the verb, right?
Yes, it's an action verb.
Good. And this?
I guess it's the object of the sentence.
Good. And clearly, the subject, Osama, makes this action happen. This type of subject is called an agent. It takes action and makes things happen to an object. Only agents cause actions.
You mean like secret agents?
Kind of, but not so secret.
Okay.
And what do you remember about objects?
Well, they're affected by the verb.
Yes, they receive the action of the verb. They're affected by the verb, or they receive something transmitted from the subject through the verb.
I get it. Here, Osama does the action, and the ball receives it, and it flies into the air.
Right. This type of object is called a direct object. And actually, this is a good example because the grammar reflects the actual physics involved. Osama's action actually makes the ball move. He's an agent subject, and if he did no action, there would be no movement, right?
Right.
And what about a sentence like this? What type of subject is the ball?
Well, agents cause actions for direct objects, but there are no objects here. So it must be a different type of subject.
Let's call this type a patient subject. They cannot cause actions for an object. Their actions affect only themselves.
Yeah, in Osama's example, the ball didn't cause the flight. Osama did. But in these examples, the ball affects itself only. So it's a patient subject, right?
Right, and it does not require a direct object.
I get it. It doesn't require a direct object. But can it have one? Isn't it an option?
That's a very important question, Aya. And the answer is complex.
I knew you were going to say that.
Aya, there's no reason to fear complexity. The world is far from simple. Complexity is completely natural.
You are right, teacher.
Okay, let's test your idea here and see if it's possible to use a direct object with a patient subject.
Seems ridiculous, teacher. Unrealistic. But it's strange. Somehow the grammar seems okay.
That's a key insight, Aya. I think you've noticed that there's a tension. They seem to disagree with each other. And this is the source of the complexity I mentioned. It's also a very common characteristic of English.
Tension between syntax and semantics? Don't they need to be the same? Like tense?
Actually, they don't. But let's come back to this idea a little bit later, okay? For now, let's look at something you said.
Teacher, is this weirdness?
Well, no. This sentence is actually correct. But let's understand why. In this example, cuisine is clearly the object or thing that you like, right? Cuisine receives your action of liking.
Right. So it's a direct object.
But tell me this, can we remove the object and say, I like?
Of course. Sure. Why not?
I'm not surprised you would say that. Because this structure is possible in the Japanese language, many Japanese learners of English feel comfortable saying this. But in English, this is not accurate.
That's first language interference, right? When my Japanese gets mixed up with my English. I remember you explained that.
That's right. You see, in English, we can't walk around saying, I like, or you like, I enjoy, I like, nothing in particular, I just like. The verb like must have a direct object. That object can even be a pronoun like it, but there must be a direct object. You need to like something.
Really? So the verb like is special?
Well, it is particular, but it's not the only verb that works this way. It belongs to a category of verbs.
Great. Sounds like there's a lot of them to learn.
But this insight points us, Aya, to the core of the problem with your communication. You see, verbs such as like and enjoy are called transitive verbs. Transitive verbs must have a direct object right after them. You need to like or enjoy something. And things are expressed with nouns. So the transitive verb, in a way, transmits the action from the agent subject directly to the object.
I see. That's interesting, teacher. Okay, teacher. But we were trying to find out if a patient subject with a verb can use a direct object. All we've done is identify transitive verbs. I'm lost.
Tell me something, Aya. In your job interview, what did you and Mr. Raphael do?
Well, I judo flipped him.
Besides that,
We talked.
right, you talked, you spoke, you chatted. These are actions that usually happen in a job interview, right?
Yes, conversation happens. It's normal. Unlike judo flipping your potential employer. Jeez.
That certainly isn't typical. But look at what you just said.
Wait a minute, teacher. There is no direct object.
And yet, I fully understood your meaning. In this case, you see, the subject is a patient subject, not causing an action for an object, which in fact we don't even have. And the verbs talk, speak, chat, and even happens do not seem to need a direct object.
So they are not transitive.
Right. These are what we call intransitive verbs. Intransitive verbs must not have a direct object after them, because no action is actually transmitted. The action stays with the patient subject.
I don't know why, but this example feels complete.
Good. No action is transmitted to an object. The subject here is the only one affected. So, a verb that does not require a direct object to complete its meaning, a verb that means the subject acts on itself, is intransitive.
So saying, I graduated my university is weirdness?
Yes,
But teacher Paul, my friends and I say this all the time.
sure, but that doesn't mean it's the correct way to use the verb.
Is there any way to fix this?
You can review your English fundamentals.
Do I really have to go back to the basics, teacher? I thought I was done with the stuff.
Wait a minute, Aya. Are you afraid of being the only one of your friends who correctly understands verb transitivity?
Well, I don't want to stand out too much.
Why not? If you are the only one who learns to use transitivity accurately, you can help your friends improve by being a positive example. Part of being an effective leader is being prepared to be the only one doing something, or the first and only one to do something. Many people are afraid of this. But if you take an action others are afraid of, you'll inspire them to feel comfortable doing it, and they may follow you.
And I don't want to be a follower teacher. I do want to be a leader.
Then verb transitivity is worth getting right, Aya.
Right. But Teacher Paul, Mr. Raphael and I talked to each other. I talked to him, and he talked to me. We affected each other. So, aren't we agent subject?
Good question, Aya. But our focus here isn't so much about the subject. It's the verbs we need to pay attention to. Intransitive verbs cannot have a direct object, so they can be followed by nothing at all, as we've seen. But they can be followed by an adverb or a prepositional phrase. In both examples, though, the subject does not exactly transmit the action to a direct object.
But Teacher Paul, in the earlier example, I graduated my university.
Actually, you didn't.
I didn't?
You are the one who graduated, not the university. You are the subject, but you did not transmit action to the university. The university didn't move or graduate, you did. I understand what you're noticing here, Aya, and I believe this intuition, this natural feeling that there is always an object, even when a verb is intransitive, is why verb transitivity causes learners a lot of confusion. This is that tension between meaning and grammar coming back to us.
Teacher Paul, what are you doing? Teacher Paul.
Aya, what did I just do?
Yoga. Kind of.
But what action?
You moved.
Moved what?
Nothing. You moved.
But what object moved? I was standing still, frozen, but then what happened? What exactly did I move?
Oh, you moved.
So in other words, I moved myself.
Right. You and your body moved.
So because the object is the same thing as the subject, we don't want to repeat this, so we don't need to say it. Let's call this a covert or hidden object.
So it's implied, right?
Exactly. Now, tell me, what did I just do?
You moved your glasses.
Exactly.
Your glasses is a direct object that receives your action.
Right. It's not covert. It's completely overt. Everybody can see it. So what does this tell you about the verb move?
That it can be either transitive or intransitive.
Exactly.
So when I use a verb, I can choose between meaning it transitively and meaning it intransitively, right?
Sometimes, and this is crucial to understand. In many cases, you are the one who chooses what meaning you want the verb to express, based on whether you use it transitively or intransitively.
Wow.
Yeah, it's complicated. Many verbs can be meant either way. However, some verbs are always transitive, and some verbs are always intransitive.
Geez, teacher, it seems to get more and more complicated.
Let's check out another example. And I think you'll like this one. Remember, in your interview, you told Mr. Raphael that you had just moved Vancouver, the big city.
Yes. So this is transitive because big city is the object, right?
That's right. And this expression, this grammar, is actually accurate. It's fine. But consider what this actually expresses.
Of course. This means I lifted the big city and moved it. I transmitted the action to a direct object, and the direct object moved.
And is that precisely what you wanted to express?
No way. That would sound physically impossible. I wanted to express that I moved myself, not the whole city. Jeez, what a nightmare.
Although the transitive verb use is grammatically accurate, in our universe, with the laws of physics we follow, the meaning of the action is physically impossible. So the grammar is correct, but the meaning is weird.
It's beyond weird, teacher. It's ridiculous.
Aya, you're one of the strongest and most impressive young ladies I've ever taught. But not even you are strong enough to lift an entire city.
So, teacher, this means that all these years I've been hearing transitivity when I should have been hearing intransitivity, and hearing intransitivity when I should have been hearing transitivity. And I've been speaking transitively when I should have been speaking intransitively, and vice versa?
Look, Aya, problems with verb transitivity are common. It's complex, and it involves both grammar and, most importantly, the meaning we both express and comprehend.
Or fail to. I misunderstood what I heard from Mr. Raphael and turned my job interview into a disaster. It's so shameful.
It's interesting, Aya. You just pointed out the importance of the listener.
I did?
We always want to speak in a way that makes our intended meaning clear to our listener, don't we?
Of course.
But we also want to be able to listen and understand with accuracy, right?
Right.
And we've seen that there was a gap between what you meant and what you said, and what you thought Mr. Raphael said and what he actually meant.
Right.
We might call this a communicative gap. Our goal when we learn a new language should be to close or at least bridge this gap so that what we mean and what we say are aligned. And this applies to what we hear and understand too.
Teacher, I had no idea until now that my communication was so misaligned. I thought it was good.
Well, think about it, Aya. If you didn't understand transitivity until now, didn't know about it, you might not even hear it.
But why, teacher? If it is so basic, why don't I understand or hear verb transitivity or use it correctly? I've been studying English for years already.
Well, Aya, I think that fossilization is happening here.
Okay.
When you're as fluent an English speaker as you are, you don't usually stop and think about your grammar, do you? You just communicate your ideas freely with your friends, right?
You're right. I used to be afraid to speak, but now I'm pretty comfortable having conversations. But is this bad, teacher?
Not at all. In fact, it's the goal of every learner. But what if you have some area of your second language that you never quite understood or gained control of? That little misunderstanding might cause errors that can become stuck in your skill set, stuck in your English, sort of get stuck in the mud, like a dinosaur fossil. This is fossilization.
Great. So my head is full of dead dinosaurs. That's not exactly encouraging, Teacher Paul.
We should all review the basics every once in a while and refine our skills.
But I've already spent so many years studying, teacher. I passed all my tests.
I understand. But ultimately, language is not a piece of information to memorize. It's a skill to develop and refine. You know, Aya, learning doesn't end once you pass a quiz or a test.
Is it even possible to break the fossilization?
It is, and we do this by going back to the fundamentals and reviewing and practicing the accurate grammar. So maybe we need to go back and really dig into this fossil.
You mean there is more?
Aya, there's always more to learn. Verb transitivity is not a simple issue, but as you can see, it's an important aspect of verb use because it has implications or effects on several other parts of your sentence and communication, including objects and prepositions.
Jeez.
So it is essential to understand how to use it accurately.
I don't know if I can do it, teacher.
Of course you can.
Teacher, I have no confidence. I don't know if I can go backwards and study more. It's too confusing.
It's really just a matter of choosing your action.
Really, I cannot do it. I thought I was ready for an independent adult life and career. But now you tell me that I made a mess of everything because of my communication gap. Why me, teacher? It's not fair. I've worked so hard on my English. I've worked so hard on everything.
Aya, I know you're frustrated. You have worked hard for a long time to achieve your dreams, and you're close. And your job interview didn't go the way you wanted. You've had a setback.
Teacher, a disaster has happened.
Well, Aya, there are real disasters in the world. And trust me, this is not one of them.
It sure feels like it.
I'm confident you can master verb transitivity, and I'll help you.
But I'm not confident.
Aya, there's no fast or easy way to learn something as complex as a second language. Learning a second language, especially such an irregular language as English, is a long, challenging process with many ups and downs and setbacks. Learning it requires a kind of superpower, which everyone is capable of, but not everyone applies.
A superpower, teacher? Really?
Tell me, Aya, do you recognize this Japanese character, this kanji?
It means nintai. Keep going. Don't give up.
In English, we have a word that expresses a similar idea called perseverance or tenacity. The ability to keep going despite challenges. The determination to never quit. You need this to achieve any challenging goal or dream.
But I have no nintai left in me, teacher. I cannot study more.
I never knew adult life would be so confusing and frustrating. When I arrived in Vancouver, I was so certain that I was ready for my exciting and independent new life. Now, here I was, bothering my teacher again with basic grammar problems I should have learned and understood already. I had followed all the right pathways to achieve my dreams, but it had turned into a disaster, and I had achieved nothing. All I could think of was giving up everything I had worked hard for and going back to Japan, where at least I felt confident.
Well, Aya, it seems to me you have two choices here. You can go back to Japan and give up on your dream of living and working in Vancouver. Or you can stay with me, review transitivity, and then once again work toward your dreams.